Back here one more time at Catch Table and Tap here in Merrillville. Region Sports Table Talk, Nathan Laird, Doug Ashenbaugh, Coach Russ Radtke of the Knox Redskins, our guest here this week. And Coach, during your career, being at Griffith, North Judson, New Prairie, Knox, Connorsville, you played in some interesting rivalry matchups. And it seemed like, especially in Griffith, kind of the villain everywhere you went and any stadium you played in. What are some of the favorite rivalry games you played in, kind of that Griffith Lowell, that long-term rivalry? You've been on both sides of a North Judson Knox. New Prairie LaPorte's a big LaPorte County matchup. What are some of those standout rivalry matchups that you coached in?
The thing is, and Ashball will tell you too as well as you, that no matter who we win against, and there were some teams that you had to be forced into by conference.
Right.
Okay? But for them to even score on us or slow us down, it was their game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So we played 9 tough games every week.
Yeah, the target on the back.
It was on the front. I mean, it was right at you. There's times, where if they could get a shot in, and I can remember some of our players, getting their bells rung or not completely out of bounds and rolled up on the track up direction, and then, getting right back up and running out and patting the guy in the butt, telling him, hey, that's a great hit, man. That was great. We're going right at it. And then that kid's going, let's give that guy everything I could. And he's excited and back on the field again. So this type of thing, like you said, the rivalry, that Hobart game in '97 was something, just because of the fact that, there's numbers, I don't know how you count how many people there.
Right.
There was 7, 8 deep all the way around. Every coach that wasn't playing was in the end zone. And very few people realize that we ran the concession stands too.
Right.
The varsity club ran the concession stands.
You had me making popcorn during APC.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Famous shish kebabs?
And the shish kebabs. And I can remember at halftime at that game, and you probably heard the story, but I told you before, all of a sudden I'm letting my coaches, everybody going at it, Coach Thompson and they were giving up their offenses. And I listened. All of a sudden, I feel this little tug in my shirt. I looked around. Then I feel that tug again. I looked down. I go, what's up? She goes, we're almost out of pop. I go, there's a lady from the concession stand, and she was almost out of pop at halftime. I said, well, we can't let that happen. And I grabbed about 5 or 6 players. And we got the 2-wheelers, went back, and I got refrigerators going in the back cages. Remember?
Yeah.
And we loaded her up and hauled her back in there. And by the time I got back up there, we were hitting the field out again because there's this one thing we're not running out of: shish kebabs and popcorn and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff. But it was all part of the game, though.
Right.
It was all part of the show and what we had to get done. But Andrean was a tough game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no two teams. Both teams had gold helmets. We had black face masks. They had red. Other than that, man, it was football. And it was smash mouth every time. We never really had to play against each other to make it to a tournament run, except once, I think, into the state championship. But those were great games. So, yes, the Lowells and the Andreans were fantastic games up there at that time. And of course, Hobart was something that was in that ritual. There's certain games you win that are important. When we were at Connors, every team I've ever coached, we have been in the door, either for a state championship or we played it. And at Connorsville, I don't know if there's what was the movie before the Bad News Bears? Because we were there. Connorsville had no idea.
Keystone Cops or something like that.
I didn't even put their uniforms on, or the whole thing was just anyway.
It was a basketball town.
It was, but in that 5th year or 6th year we were there, we beat Carmel. Connorsville beat Carmel.
Has that happened since?
It was 24-22 at our place on the next to last play of the game. And it was a crossbuck trap going to bench. Coach will understand. We go against handball. We fake the fullback, halfback one time. Second hand off the back, coming back with a guard pulling, knocking out a defensive end. And at our place. The year before, we got beat at Carmel because we played all those real big schools like Bloomington South and Columbus North and all those. And I got to tell you the story. Never tell you a story ain't the truth. Okay, you want a fictional one? Let me know sometime. I'll tell you. But in the first half, the score was 14-7, and they kicked the field goal, make it 17-7. Now they kick off, the ball goes in the end zone. The ball goes where?
20 yards.
20 yards. 3 plays later, the tip of that ball is on the 30. The tip of the ball is over the 30. Mm-hmm. Issue goes 4th down. I go, there's no way it's 4th down. I go, you started on the 20, you got to go to the 30.
It's on the 30.
Right. I go timeout. I go timeout. I go out on that field. I'm at Carmel. Great big stadium. Thousands of people. And I'm asking the official, I said, now look, I went through the same scenario. I said, how can that not be a first down when that ball is looking, I can see, is it not across that line? He goes, I can't guarantee those lines are straight. Wait a minute, it gets better.
I was going to say, you probably reacted calmly. And
I said, we're in Indianapolis, Carmel, the richest of the rich. It's a turf field. The lines are painted perfect. It's 4th down, sir. I get pissed off. I said, we're going forward to my house. They come grab us. The next thing we know, we got to be something like 35-0 or 42-0 or whatever. So we played them at our place the next year. Mm-hmm. Every one of our lines were a little different. I'm just saying, there might have been some 9s, might have been some 11s, but
9.5.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, you already said it was the truth. So you had to back yourself into that corner.
But to win that game against the Olympic Conference and win the conference championship against Carmel at your place, that's a pretty good one.
That's a memorable one.
And at New Prairie, we did it against Penn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because we went over there, and as soon as you start winning, remember we used to play in the black and blue and the 13 and so forth up here at Griffith. And then eventually we got moved into another conference, and you keep moving along and whatever. And we started over there, and we moved into a conference, and we started winning and whatever. Next thing you know, New Prairie gets moved into a new conference, part of the conference, and here we are playing Penn. And came down to the option game right on the last. It was like a 4th down on the 3-yard line going in. If they stop us, they win. If we make it in, we win. And we ran a 7 Cowboys, or what you probably was orange then or something, probably, or
both
green.
actually. You had them both.
7
Cowboys goal.
Cowboys, yeah.
And the quarterback was the one that's now playing at Notre Dame.
Ketter. Yep.
And so when they came out, who do you think most of those Penn guys were at?
Right on the quarterback.
Yeah.
And that fullback could have went 99 yards. And he walks in the end zone, and we win. All because of the option game and because of the process. If you say you're just going to give it the one back, one way of trap, or you don't have all those options in there. And so that's another big game in a situation that is created from the fact that you become tougher, you become more involved, and everybody's out to get you every game, every week. And as a result of that, that's where you get your competition.
I think the live A-frame got me the toughest. Is that still going on in practice? That was, I think, the best part of practice all the time is when you would hit that live A-frame, and we knew we were in for something.
Well, A-frame was a practice drill where you would do the ritual.
I wasn't allowed on A-frame.
Oh, that makes sense. And Christian was, though.
Coaches or players would exemplify what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But every time, usually it was on Wednesday night, if I remember. On Wednesday night, we get about 15 minutes where it's live. Mm-hmm. Now the opponent on defense is our number one defensive players. and the number one offense is on the other side, but there's no linemen. There are no linemen except the center. So now it's those guys with not being blocked.
Yeah.
That when he says it's live,
It's live.
they're coming in. And so you better carry out your fake or you might end up back there or go back into the backfield or whatever. And so many of those A-frames and so forth, like you said, live A-frames. At Griffith, we used to practice on the baseball bat.
Yeah. I know you said you did it.
On the rock pile, we always had
we
it.
were on the rock pile.
Yeah.
We would drive.
Then we'd go for team
By Farragut, right behind it.
Yeah.
Remember the field there?
But
That was the one we were on.
When I was there, we were on the baseball field.
on the actual game baseball field.
Yes.
And that's when they had no lights.
Right.
And those are some of the best practices.
Those were tough.
Especially for defense, because we get out there and it was so dark, and you have to stop that wing tee or that misdirection. You don't know where the ball's or whatever. You better have your assignment. Because the ball would be set, the play would go on, and only then would you hear something. I got him. I got him. I got the guy that's got the ball.
You know, and if you have the second team offense, you could barely see the card.
Yeah.
And if you screwed up your assignment on a play card, you could barely see.
But I had the Miners hat on. Remember, I'd have that
With the lights
on there.
We'd get an earful from you or from Coach White if you messed up an assignment on
that card.
On a card, it's like I got to look at it for 10 seconds in the dark, and I got to know my assignment.
With all the technology now, you still using the cards, Coach?
For our defenses, to adjust only, not for offense.
Not for offense.
But for the defenses, the plays are all drawn on cards, and we exemplify it. We show it that direction, and so that's the fastest way to get it on one after another, one after another.
Yeah, of course.
So you see what they're doing. Well, guys, I tell you what, I still have the first scouting report from the very first game I coached as a head coach at North Judson versus North Liberty. North Liberty Shamrocks, and I believe we won 21-0. But every scouting report we've ever done in those 46 years as a head coach, we got every one of them. So I go in there and see what you did, Laird.
That's going to do it for the show. One of the names I mentioned, one of your long-term assistant coaches in Coach White, who's been with you pretty much every stop along the way. What
He even played for me.
He did play for you at North Judson. What does he bring to you to your program that wants you to bring him back? I mean, he knows that offense inside and out, it seems like.
Yeah, he only knows offense. You know?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes, he couldn't. He has been a head coach a couple of times.
He was at North Judson.
And he did things didn't work out, whatever. And he's a great assistant coach, only because he's a perfectionist and knows the terminologies of what he has to do to make he can change non-conformists into performers. He ain't going to change their attitude of what they want to be wild or whatever, how they want to do their hair or sing or dance or whatever, okay? But when we're on that field, those 8 linemen are going to do it the way we're going to do it all the time because they push sleds together, they've worked hard together. Very few people understand. He went to college. His degree is in Bible theology. Is that
really?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the First Testament or the Second, but old or new. Don't get me wrong. But I just know that I've never heard him swear. I have never heard him say a leg. Now, he gets mad.
That's true.
You can get there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to carry himself from derogatory process. He can do it by gaining your respect and knowledge that he's going to do it. And he tells stories, and go around, and he'd be a good old boy. But then when Coach Radtke, here comes Coach. Don't be telling him what we've been going. Back to what the whole story is, But I go in some different meetings or whatever, and I'm getting down the hallway, and I'm thinking, what the heck are those guys having that much fun laughing and goofing around? I get inside the door, but it's all... They had a lookout or something. Don't know what it is. But They live it. You really feel that. You got to think about it. He left North Judson and came all the way down to Connersville and drove to Griffith from North Judson
every day
for 19, 18 years. Sometimes he didn't do it when his sons were playing.
Mm-hmm.
He worked there and then came back. In New Prairie, then he still helping you out at Knox, whatever. What's that?
Is he still helping you out at Knox?
Oh yeah, he's still on the staff there. He still lives within about probably 3 or 4 miles of my farm, and so he's still there. Both of his parents have gotten a little older now and need more help and whatever, and so we work out together what we got to do. But we still get together and do the welding and in the meetings and the clinics and whatever it is that we do together, and never had to ask him about being loyal. Mm-hmm. Never had to ask him to show up to do things, because I can remember buying semi-loads of stuff and he's never paid me for it. And then I'm sure there's semi-loads or truckloads of something that if we try to inventory it down, it's just that we're loyal to each other.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You got people like that you just
absolutely
count on whenever they're going to be there, and they'll do the right thing for you. And then we know that if it isn't going to work out, we got to go somewhere else. There's too many good things to go with that can't be done sometimes in certain places. And a result of that is from the fact that, again, it's back to being truthful, telling the kids exactly what we're going to do. Don't lie. Don't make up something that you can't say you're going to do. And give them an opportunity to have fun and enjoy what they're doing. But many a times, like even in those state championship games, they wanted to know what we get to do tomorrow, Coach. I go, it's over. Well, we've been here every Saturday since our freshman year.
What now?
Yeah, what
and
now?
if we didn't win on Friday, there's no practice on Saturday. You had to earn the opportunity to have to practice on Saturday by winning on Friday. And so a lot of them just, what do we do? They go on with life and find out what other things they can do and come a result of camaraderie between guys. They can still get together, do things at different times, still go back with who they are, because you could never get them all sitting in the same pew at the church. Right. You could never get them singing the same tone or song all the time. When they played football, they knew what it was like, and they counted on each other to do things at the right time. And when you talk with them today and you see them, you feel proud about what they've accomplished.
Yeah. Talking about that, a lot of things. What do you do now? You do a lot more things outside of football, Coach. You just, coaching football there. Obviously, basketball, right? What made you get that? Was it playing back then, having those, internships? Are you graduate assistant?
I've been doing it for 53 years.
Yeah. What makes you keep going?
My wife's saying, "You think you're going to sit around the house here on Saturday night? You're crazy." And then I know that there'd be one of these things, like you got to do this, you got to clean under the furnace, you got to make
sure sounds better.
So you're gonna go be involved in basketball.
I'll be back.
What is it like being on the referee side of things? On a Friday night, in the fall, you've been known to talk to a ref or two. What is it like being on the opposite side during basketball? Do you take any gruff from any of the coaches?
No matter what challenges over the 50-some years, 46 is ahead or whatever, I've never gotten a 15-yarder from an official from our conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Disrespect.
Right.
I might have got it because I'm on the field, or I'm late for halftime because the band's still playing. But even when people think, why are you always screaming at those kids? I'm not screaming at them. I'm trying to tell them what I feel the right thing to do to make it more enjoyable for you and us and how to get it done. When this game's over, then you can sit back and relax, take a breath of air and figure out what you're going to do. But right now, this is a battle. This is what we're going to expect from everybody. And the officials, I just try to get them into gear that these kids have been practicing for this game, to play this game. I know you just got off work at 3. You're here at 7. You're only going to see us this one time for 2 hours. Please give us 100% all the time. And if you think that was a foul, then maybe it really needs to be assured that it is. Don't do something that is going to not give the players a chance to overcome it or to do it right. That's all I'm trying to say. And the same thing with players and kids all the time, and players and referees. I have all the respect in the world to them. But there's sometimes I've had officials say, well, I'll get it right next time. I go, there is no next time. This is the play right now. You called it. He goes, oh, I've only had my license for about a week. You've only had a license to be an official for 1 week? Yeah, they called me up Thursday and told me I'm going to be reffing here Friday. I go, why? He goes, they couldn't find anybody else. That's what we're down to today.
Yeah.
You know that right now, about a month ago, there were 27 varsity football games for this fall that still do not have a crew.
Wow. That's a
Just
lot.
in Lake County.
Whoa. Wow.
Or in this area, the region.
Yeah.
27.
Wow. That's a lot of games.
There's not that many officials out there. It's tough. We're going to have to be playing on some Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah, Thursday night games and some.
I'm thinking about getting my license. That way I can coach on Friday and ref on Saturday.
I thought we already talked about when you're done coaching, you're going to broadcast.
Yeah, bring in the honest crew.
Oh man, I tell you, can we run them down the sideline? I'd be your sideline.
There it is.
Yes, we got it. We'll mic you up during the game. While you're coaching, we'll have a microphone on.
And when it's time to go talk to the other guys, I'll be just like that XFL. I'll just hit right out across the field.
Here we go.
There he is. He's in the hole with them. He has an idea what they're going to do right now. Come out.
We got to figure it out.
What are they going to do? They're going to throw a 15-yarder on me now?
You're part of the media.
That's right. Yeah. That's part of the game. But the basketball, I think I try to do that with the coaches because they realize I'm a coach also. And so I'm not going to try to give them anything that's wrong.
Right.
I've had a game in the basketball one time where one guy's yelling travel and the other guy says he's out of bounds. I said, well, what happens when we go the other way? It'll be out of bounds over here and travel over there. And they go, well, which one are you going to call? I get Now what do? They do what you just did. They laugh.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Now we're back on the same level.
Yeah.
If you can get the coaches to just relax a minute, grab a breath of air, realize this isn't the only play that happened this way, and even though I might have seen it differently, the other two did it, and we got to go with it right now. Right. Or if you've got something, I'll go ask the other official. I said, did you see? He thinks it's traveling first before that jump ball. He goes, well, you might be right. I go, do you think there was traveling? He goes, yeah, I think you did travel. Travel it.
Yeah.
We're going the other way because that's the only right way to do it.
Right.
And that's
part of the crew for a reason there.
That's exactly right.
One of the other side things you do that most people know about, the farm you mentioned a few times. During one of the breaks, we learned about animal husbandry a little bit.
Yeah.
Here, and it's a family farm, correct?
I've inherited this situation.
Right.
Exactly right.
And I know farming's been a big thing for you for a long time. We flipped tractor tires and everything. And I don't know if you remember back when this was back in 2002, we were taking a written weightlifting final because everybody had to give a written final this year. And all the teachers got MacBooks. We're taking our final, and I'm sitting there at the desk in the temporary classroom in the field house. And this is my story that I connect you to farming. I'm taking this test. You say, Laird, how do I buy a tractor online?
That's right.
You remember that?
And I've been stuck on it ever since.
Because I don't know how to buy a tractor online. I've never done it. That's the only time I've ever looked. But farming's been a big thing for you for a long time, growing up on it and everything.
But those are the antique process. I have a major collection.
How many?
Of my wife might see this, so I see
she always.
we collect Minneapolis Moldings.
Mhm.
They're the yellowish prairie gold tractors. They stopped making them in the late 70s. And I got started because my grandpa and I grew up on a molding. And then we've developed into this. And so I got another whole group out there of friends, I consider you guys friends, that don't know much about football, but boy, they know about tractors. And so I got that crew also I deal with.
Mhm.
And that might have been some of these phone calls that come in to tell me
a
about
deal on
private
one.
options and so forth. But we have, we restore them. Sometimes they take 5 to 10 years to get them to the perfectionist process. They never go back out in the field again.
Mhm.
And I remember doing that.
Yeah,
Because
and
I didn't know how to do it with a text. There's been times I've been at I don't think it was a varsity football game, but a freshman football game that our athletic trainer was still doing bids on a phone buying a tractor for me while the game was going on. She goes, Coach, I got it. I go, well, she goes, I had to go a little higher than you wanted. I go, as long as you stayed within that range of what I gave you,
We're good.
it's okay with me.
I wasn't that helpful. I had no idea where to start because I had never bought a
Google.
tractor
Started
before,
Google.
But the whole thing today with the system, we own one of the rarest tractors in the world.
You personally have one.
Yes.
Wow.
It's the golden standard of all tractors. It's called a UDLX. UDLX. And it's a tractor that's built only in 1938, and it was far ahead of its time. It had radios and heaters and windshield wipers and dimmer lights and ashtrays and cigarette lighters. And
From 38?
in 1938. See,
Wow.
when you think how many farmers said, who the hell do you think you are? You're going to drive around that?
Right, yeah.
So that was one thing. Then the Depression.
Yeah.
Then World War hit. And so basically they ended up melting a lot of them down and putting away.
Right.
There's only about 10 or 12 of them left.
And you have one of them.
You have one.
Wow.
My wife knows about that one.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There we go. We can talk about that one. We don't want to talk about the ones she doesn't know about.
Well, the major thing is they're all the same color.
So
So there is a good chance that I have had a tractor. I used to have them in Griffith in the
Yeah.
garages
Yep.
right there in Griffith.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And I'd say, hey, I'm taking this tractor down. I'm going to put it on the trailer. I'll be back this evening. We got to change some weights on it. I got to work on it. I'll be back. I come back that evening, and she goes, looks out the window. She goes, I thought you said you were going to leave that tractor down at the farm. And I thought, I got her. She has no idea that that's a completely different tractor on that.
Found the process.
Even though she grew up on a farm, color coding is the key. Don't ever change the color. And you're
Do we need to cut this part out of the final show?
You could. I
I don't want to get you in trouble or anything. So.
Well, I know one day when I'm gone, Lord's going to take me sometime, I'm sure, okay? Where she's going to have a fun time trying to find out where all those are. Or there's some farmer going to call up and say, hey, you ever going to get these tractors your husband left me here? He did what?
What are you talking about?
Hey, one thing we haven't really talked about, and I think this ties into the farming a little bit, is the bone. Infamous bone. For we had the bone game still hanging around. Where did that bone come from?
Well, we still have the bone.
Yeah.
It went
Same
through the
one?
prairie. Same exact one.
Same one,
It's been in
huh?
the dome 5 times. It's an oxen bone.
Oxen
And
bone.
I got
okay.
it when I was in North Judson. I told a guy at a meat packing place, if you ever get one of the biggest cows or bulls in or whatever, he says, he called me about a month later, said, I got an ox that's coming in. It's the biggest thing you're ever going to see on the field. And so this showed right away that my mother-in-law got along with me somehow, because I had to take that bone, and a bone is full of nothing but the material that makes the blood on the inside. What's it called? Bone marrow.
Bone marrow.
Bone marrow. And that bone marrow is on the inside of it, and then it's just covered with cartridge and fat and everything. And so I had to boil it. And I had to boil it in her basement on her big stove for, it seemed like, months.
Oh, jeez.
Then from there, I took it and tied it on the TV tower so that the buzzers and the bugs and the sun would hit it. Because I had to petrify it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, process of bones that come like you see in your skeletons don't take place in 3 or 4 months.
I'm just going to say we are learning a lot.
A
in this
lot. I
episode.
never knew the
About
backstory
a
like
lot of
that.
different subjects.
So there's not too many mother-in-laws. So that's entire.
Did it mess the TV signal up?
Is what? Oh, we had TV towers there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did it mess the signal up that big bone?
No, I tied it up there about 30 feet in the air, but there's definitely a lot of bugs and buzzards and birds that flew
So
around.
Doug and I are going to do a test. We're both going to ask our respective mother-in-laws
Yeah.
if we can do that at their house. And then the next episode, we're going to report back with what they say.
Okay.
I'm going to guess it's going to be no.
A
The
hard
first
no.
question I'm going to ask you is, how high is it going to be up there?
Yeah.
Then they won't realize that there's going to be a lot of bird droppings and buzzards and different items that are going to be around it. But the sun would hit it and so forth. And then from there, we used it. And like I said, senior bone game.
Yeah.
And you pick out the game which you're going to put it through. And the opponent gets... At North Justin, we took it one time by the city police.
Mhm.
It looked just like Smokey and the Bandit, where we showed up at the game at Knox,
Mhm.
and they would
Police
have
escort?
big guns, and they would open up the trunk, and the bone, boom, be sent right on the.
Why
A lot of other schools thought they could have it if they beat us.
no,
Oh,
not Travis.
no, not
But we
chance.
would lose.
Why
Good
at
point.
Griffith did it seem like it was always the Munster game? It was the Bone game.
That was a good game team to go against. Have an attitude for it, and
You just wanted to make sure you were still the only undefeated coach in Munster football history.
and John Friend was still coming to all those games, and he'd be doing the play-by-play on radio and so forth, following up on it. But I think it always was the Munster game, But I think the seniors could pick the game they wanted, which team they wanted during the year that they wanted to really put forward. It was never in a low game, though.
No, it wasn't.
It
You
never
remember your bowl
was in a
game?
low game.
Munster.
Munster? Mine was Hobart. Hobart was
I
our bowl
think
game.
it always ended up Munster, and then when Hobart got
Yeah,
into
it was Munster for a long time.
the sectional, it came into that direction, and then it's hanging there. It's still got the same combo.
The chain, the lock,
chain's
and everything.
loaded right
Wow, that's
And
been
it's
going
got the
strong.
same padlock. I got to go in my locker, and I get that little spiral notebook out, and I read the number, we unlock it. And the thing is, you give the bone then to the seniors. They take it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't realize, and I think it was at Judson maybe, but the femur comes in the 3 pieces.
Still got.
The head of both ends of the femur and the bone will actually fall apart. And I remember that team coach, we broke the bone. I go, what do you mean you broke the bone? It came apart. And so we had to do some surgical application. Coach White and I did that the bone is secured. I don't know if it's got Gorilla Glue, but it's definitely
got
got
something on
got a
it.
it
screw
definitely
on
got
top.
some big
It's
screws.
Yeah, it's got the
So
screw
they
on
can
top.
fix the bone will be
They're
never-
going through the bone to bone.
Bone will never be broken again.
Yeah.
Awesome. Coach, we got one final quick segment here for you. We call it our speed round. So just some
Speed round.
Some
How long do I get there on each question?
Claude, how much time has he got? 1 minute? 1 minute like total?
For all of them?
Yeah, it's
All right,
only a
only
few
two.
questions. And one of these I'm actually going to take out because it's non-football hobby and you do everything. So
Yeah.
you don't. We didn't touch on you being.
I never golfed.
I've heard a story.
I've never
about
caught a fish.
I've heard a story about you in golf. Actually, if I can ask if this is true.
You could try it.
Okay. Tyler's wedding. My brother was there because he was coaching with you guys then. Apparently, while everybody else went golfing, you stayed behind and babysat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many kids?
There was a good dozen.
How did you keep them
Yeah,
alive?
what did you do?
Were they running the route?
I went on the offense. One guy was on the defense.
Christian told me that. I'm like, he just didn't go golfing with you guys? Coach said he doesn't golf.
They used to go bowling, too.
You ever bowl?
No.
Never bowled, never caught a fish or golfed, huh, Coach?
The only way I could go golfing is we could run the whole damn course. And fishing, I did go fishing one time and I ended up throwing my wife in the bogus river. She pushed me in, and then she begged for me not. She ran as fast as she could. I caught her.
There you
Ran
go.
all the way back, threw her into the bottom of that one also. So I guess that's more in a minute. Go ahead.
We haven't started yet, so Claude, you got the timer on. Okay, here we go with our speed round. Your favorite football player of all time at any level?
At any level.
Any level.
David Ashenbaugh.
Doug?
Got his first name off.
I like that answer, Coach.
I'm just saying because of the intensity. I don't think he ever missed a practice.
No,
I
never.
don't think he ever missed a practice. Sometimes he was bruised up pretty good and hurting. And I'm not just saying it because of, that he's here, but he was one of the best
Here you go, bud.
fullbacks
I appreciate
I
that,
ever had.
Coach. Thank you,
There you go,
Coach.
bud. Your favorite football team growing up?
Green Bay Packers.
I remember that. You're a
I
Packers
remember that.
fan. How'd you become a Packers fan?
Because in the 60s, we'd be working in the barns, the dairy cattle and so forth we had at that time. We had radio on, and who was winning? Bears or the Packers? Packers. So we had the Milwaukee radio station on, and I grew up with the Ray Nishkes and all those guys, Bart Stars, and the way they played football, and you know some of those guys played that they found splinters in their body after their autopsies, that because of the work that they had done, you know, like bullets or whatever, they found splinters and pieces of wood. That's tough.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm just saying that Green Bay Packers, there's no doubt.
If you weren't a coach, part of that, a teacher, what would you be doing? Farming?
Preacher.
Preacher.
Only problem would be when they pass that plate. We might have to go around one more time, boys. We might not have got everything we need for today, so we're going to have another sermon. And next time that plate comes by, you better be able to. We'll kick checks.
And sermon 2 would have shish kebabs, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shish
Absolutely.
kebabs.
Shish kebabs and popcorn.
We need.
That's right.
But the thing is, when you teach the Bible, you can't lie. You got to tell what the truth is.
It's true.
And it's written right there, so you just go through the mannerisms. You know, I've read the entire Bible. I have. It took me probably 4 years. I read a verse every day. Wow. Now, can I remember it or whatever it is? I can recall it and listen to what people tell me, and I'm sure I've broken a lot of rules and so forth, as like anything else. But I do know that I think I could be pretty good at it. Whether I'd have everybody there the next Sunday might be the question.
Especially after the collection plate goes around 3 or 4 times. Your favorite sport that isn't football? Basketball.
Basketball.
All right, last one. This
Marbles.
last
I used to play marbles.
Marbles?
Yeah,
Marbles.
I had the biggest one there ever was. When I'd show up on the playground, my stealing. We used to have that sucker. My dad used to give me some kind of, because all they are ball bearings,
Right.
and he probably got one off some locomotive or something. I go, I can't even see the thing is buried so deep right now. But go ahead.
All right, last one, and this is the one I said I thought it might throw him up.
Yeah, I'm ready for this one.
He's going to have a straight up answer to this. If you had to win one game as a coach, one game, who's your starting quarterback? Bo, Shane, Tyler, or other?
Each one could do something different, but I'll take the smartest.
The smartest?
The smartest.
Which one is?
Kurt Mance.
Repeat that in case Claude didn't get the audio.
Kurt Mance.
Kurt Mance from North Judson, right?
North Judson.
Yeah.
And then he went on to play at Michigan State basketball. He went on to play at Central Michigan coaching, and now I think he's at Seymour High School.
There we go.
And
There it is.
I tell you what, because there's one time I remember, and I had that picture, what do we call it? The garage or the shop or whatever. There's a picture, and I see this reporter talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And after it was on, somebody took a picture of it somehow. And I remember the reporter coming back from the South Bend Tribune, and he says, "Coach, I got to tell you exactly what just happened." And I said, "Exactly." I asked him, why do you play this game with such intensity? Why do you play it in a way, not that it's ruthless, but every second, every down, every time, and whatever you're doing, it's beyond 100%. Why do you guys do that? But now I can talk to you right now in this setting, and it's like you're a completely different person. And he says, because Coach Radtke expects it of us.
And that quote, I think, defines your career and how a lot of former players feel about you. And
because even when we lost, I didn't degrade him. I didn't put him down. I just said, we're going to learn from this. This is what went wrong, how we got to do it, and we're going to get better at it, okay? And for him to say that the only reason I do it is because Coach Radtke expects us.
Well, and that's, I think you can feel the same way, that after a loss, it wasn't, again, you talk to people and you guys probably got chewed out after the game. No, we didn't. Film session's going to be rough, but after the game, it was, like you said, here's what we're going to do to get better. Here's what we need to improve on. And you get to team together, say a prayer, and go on with your night. And that's what it was. And
that's what life is. It's every day,
And doing what I do, I get a lot of people asking me when they find out I played at Griffith and everything, what was it like playing for him? I said, when you talk to him about football, he's intense, he's passionate about it. But about anything else, like we're learning here tonight for our audience, that hilarious. And the story I always give is, and I doubt you remember this, is I was in weightlifting one day with all my buddies. This is a month before graduation. And you walk into the weightlifting room, and you go, hey, Laird, and you slammed a box of chocolate Twinkies on your desk. And you go, I found them.
You're right.
And I said, Coach, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because you had made a bet with another class that there was such thing as chocolate Twinkies.
And Brian Orcus and all these other coaches, they told me there's no such thing as a chocolate Twinkie. I said, there is a chocolate Twinkie. I used to eat them.
And you told us you drove to several different Hostess stores to find them. And then when I asked you for one, you told me no. And so I was a little hurt because, but you're like, Laird, I found them. I'm like, Coach, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because it was with somebody else the way. But I always tell people that's when they say, what was it like to play for Coach Radtke? And I tell them that story. Yeah. And that, again, the guy you see on a Friday night is intense. He's passionate. He wants to win, but he looks out for the best interest of his players. Yep. But then when you're not in football season, he does stuff like that. It's those random little things that are hilarious. And they stick with me. That's exactly 21 years ago.
I bet I looked for him for over a year.
You told me you went to multiple. I think you said you found him in
all those Hostess recycle centers. They're not recycle. In Griffith, they had all those different stores where they'd bring them in.
Right.
And I'd ask, I'd run a Hostess truck down and say, hey, you guys, you know what?
You told me
I never had any chocolate Twinkies. I go, I'm telling you, somewhere.
You told me you found them in Chesterton. But the moral of the story is you still said no and didn't give me a chocolate Twinkie.
Well, I got a young lady out in New Carlisle that's still waiting for me to show her, because I guarantee you there is green ketchup.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's green ketchup. I'm with you on that one, Coach.
I can't find a bottle of it anymore.
There used to be purple ketchup,
but I don't know.
That's true.
But the ketchup's always red. I go, no, there's green ketchup.
There's purple ketchup. There's blue ketchup. That's a thing for a while. Different kind of ketchup. So I'm just, next time I see you, I please bring a box of chocolate Twinkies.
Chocolate Twinkies?
Yeah.
I always go buy them. They come out in seasons or whatever.
They got crazy Twinkies that are out there.
But you're hearing him. He's bringing us chocolate Twinkies.
I'm in for that, Coach.
All right, fair enough.
Coach, thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, it was glad to reconnect and talk to you about football, your career, an outstanding Hall of Fame career, and we appreciate you making the time. And we are glad no Cavs were being born today that you can make it.
Well, I knew when you called me, you expected me to be here, so it's that same word. Expect you to do what, no matter when you call or if you have a problem or a situation, I'm not a lawyer or a doctor or anything, okay? But I've never told any man I can't do it tonight.
No, you've always been a big help, and anything I ask you, just let me know when.
That's right.
It's really appreciated. Yeah. Thanks again. Good to see you, and thanks again to everybody for tuning in, spending some of your night with us here on Region Sports Table Talk here from Catch Table and Tap in Merrillville. Our executive producer is Chris Ramirez. Claude Martinez, our producer and editor. Doug Ashenbaugh, Coach Radtke's favorite player of all time at any level. There you go. We're going to cut up that clip.
Yeah. I just need that clip.
I didn't say any sport.
Oh, that's good points.
I'll take the football player.
We got the jersey.
Oh, here it is. Look, see, Coach?
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's been a lot of guys in that jersey.
But only one true 41 there. So that's going to do it here for Catch Table and Tap. For Chris Ramirez, for Doug Ashenbaugh. My name is Nathan Laird. Have a great night, everybody. This has been the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Region Sports Network, the only game in town.